Good evening and a very warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the last session of the day, which is on the theme of component manufacturing in India for the world, parts of products and parts of parts. India's electronic components market was USD 5555 billion in 2018-19, which reflected direct imports and import of electronic products. The domestic production catered to only 18% of the demand, and this presents a significant opportunity for the domestic component manufacturing. The potential of the industry extends well beyond the domestic boundaries to become a potent force on the world stage. This session will delve on the need gaps in the industry and government support to be enlisted towards negating the disabilities posing hurdles in its growth. With these words, may I welcome our chief guest, Shri Ishtiaq Ahmed, Advisor, Niti Aayog. A very warm welcome to you, sir. I welcome and invite Shri Rajkumar Rishi, Vice President MATE, Managing Director, CSP India Dell, requesting him to kindly make the introductory remarks. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Sanhati, and good evening, everyone. As Sanhati mentioned, this is the third and the last session for today. This is a two-day seminar that we are conducting, the MATE Electronics and Telecom Manufacturing Summit for 2021. And the first two sessions were extremely engrossing and insightful. We had the key policymakers, including the MATE Secretary, Shri Rajasani, and also global supply chain leaders from many companies, as well as the local Indian leadership team from various organizations. This particular session is more about the components, the part manufacturing, as well as parts of part manufacturing. Look, as we discussed in the earlier sessions, this is a golden period for Indian electronics manufacturing. The way the electronics demand is shaping up because of the automation happening in almost every sphere of life, the consumption is actually growing at a fairly fast pace. The COVID situation, of course, is unfortunate, but it has definitely led to greater IT penetration, hence electronics penetration, as it makes easier for everyone, whether you're a business or an individual, to connect, to work, to entertain for every purpose, and hence consumption is growing. And seeing the demand as well as overall objectives of the government under the Atmanirbhar plank, there is a huge push by the government as well in terms of various incentive programs in the form of PLI, etc., that have been introduced. And these two-day seminar would bring together the key policymakers from the government, as well as the key leadership, from the manufacturers, to come together and come up with thoughts and ideas how we can really leverage each other and unleash the true potential of the Indian market. We are very fortunate that the key policymakers from the government have, agreed to participate in these discussions. And for example, in this session, we got Mr. Ishtiaq Ahmed, who's advisor Niti Aayog, and we are extremely honored, sir, to have your presence in this panel discussion, as well as we have key leadership members from the industry. The delegates we have, from the EMS companies, both Indian and global, the components supplier, the component aggregators. Of course, I talked about the government decision makers, the suppliers of components for component manufacturing. And so there is an excellent, I would say, group of, and the key brains in this sphere which are available. And the discussion is up, what is it that takes us to, make India the component manufacturing hub for the world. And that's what is very, is an important topic. And this will actually help set up the overall ecosystem as we need in terms of the opportunity that I spoke just before that. So with that introduction, I won't take much time because I'm sure everyone is looking forward to the, to listening from our chief guest. as well as listening to the various panelists and participate in the panel discussion. So I'll hand over back to Sinati and wish you all a great discussion. And this seminar, by the way, continues for 2 days. So tomorrow also we have equally insightful sessions planned. Really looking forward to the discussion today and for tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shri Rajkumar Rishi, for your warm welcome address and also for the succinct opening remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my proud privilege to invite Ishtiaq Ahmed, our Honorable Chief Guest for this session, and I would like to invite him to kindly deliver the keynote.
I'm not able to hear anything.
Can you hear us?
Sir, you need to unmute your button. I think he needs to unmute his.
Then you can listen, but I'm not able to listen. You have joined from multiple accounts or something.
I agree. This is Vinod.
If I may request, others, we could maybe go off the video if it will help us, if it will help increase the bandwidth. Yeah.
Mr. Ahmed, the speaker is on mute. He needs to unmute it.
I don't know if
his mic is on mute. He needs to unmute it. If somebody can call him and tell him to unmute it.
yeah, I'm muting it. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay.
So maybe you can put your video off. Probably that will help.
Yeah. Is it now better?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
So I don't know where I was, and if someone can just tell the context and where we were.
No, sir. The compare has announced that if you can deliver your keynote address as the chief guest from the session.
Thank you so very much, and I take this opportunity to congratulate MED for organizing this summit on electronics and telecom manufacturing. And I have been reading this particular session on component manufacturing. Very important to build roadmap for authentic electronics manufacturing in the country. I'm really very happy to be with you at the summit, sharing some of my thoughts on PLI in general and also particularly on component manufacturing.
Sir, we have lost you again.
So now, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Just keep your video off, sir.
I have kept it off.
Okay, now we can hear you, sir. Please continue.
Yeah. So making India a hardware hub needs combination of efforts. Foremost is building a strong and forward-looking component ecosystem. Electronic hardware domain is very, very unique in many respects. It has different layers of players from OEM manufacturers to sub-assemblies to hardware designers and manufacturers of components, including semiconductors. In fact, in the morning we were in a session where it was regarding the electronics manufacturing. There, the component manufacturing was very well emphasized. It is the component manufacturing will help us in achieving greater domestic value addition in the large-scale electronics in the country. A successful component manufacturing system is catalyst to large-scale electronics and telecom equipment manufacturing in the country. We need a strong manufacturing system to transition from importing nation. We have been importing almost 80% of our requirements. So we need to transition from importing to exporting nation. Recognizing this aspect, government has introduced a number of measures. As each one of you knows that 100% FDI under automatic route is permitted in the sector. Apart from policy support, Government of India has introduced imaginative production-linked incentive scheme for both electronics hardware as well as telecom original equipment and components by way of policy support. Government has notified in April 2020 three schemes. This production-linked incentive scheme, a scheme for promotion of manufacturing of electronic components and semiconductors, what we call specs, modified electronics manufacturing clusters schemes, EMC 2.0, and the fourth scheme, which is production-linked incentive scheme for IT hardware, that was introduced in March 21. I would also like to take this opportunity to explain the larger context and perspective of PLI scheme, which was introduced by the government. And that's very necessary because it is on the architecture of overall PLI scheme that the component manufacturing PLI scheme has been built. Objective of the PLI scheme is basically to make India transition from low per capita income to high per capita income. This can be achieved only if we have focused on the manufacturing sector of the country. Idea is to attract investments in areas of core competency, bring efficiency and build economies of scale, and make India competitive so that it can penetrate into the global markets. Strategy to have domestic manufacturing have been on three prongs. One is that introduce phase manufacturing program in areas where there are low value but high volumes, which can be achieved by the domestic manufacturers. A phase manufacturing program, we can have the domestic industry protection for a limited period of time. Beyond that, they have to be competitive. Then the production-linked incentive scheme, and if necessary, we can use combination of PLI as well as the PMP to make our industry be competitive, but it has to be for a limited period of time. Then third and most important thing is capitalize on FTAs. We don't have FTAs in major economic blocks. So we need to have better FTAs so that our industry gets help in penetrating the global market. The PLI scheme which has been introduced by the country has many distinctive features. First of all, which everybody knows that it addresses the fiscal disability which our industry has compared to our competing economies. Next part is that when we try to address the fiscal disability, it can be done in a very targeted manner. We can go and address the particular sector and particular company in a very targeted manner. So it supports mainly the large scale anchor units, but it brings along the entire SME ecosystem with it. So if you see the sectors which have been chosen for the PLI, right from SEC, battery, electronics, pharmaceuticals, textile, food processing, there is a pattern. And there are three defining parameters of this selection. One is that introduce PLI in a cutting edge technology sectors. Second is introduce PLI in those sectors where we can penetrate into the global markets. And third thing is choose that labor intensive sectors, the way we have chosen food processing as well as the automobile sector where large scale employment can be generated, and same is the case with the textile sector. This scheme, when it comes to the selection is based mainly on investment and production, but the focus remains on exports, domestic value addition, and employment generation. scheme is completely performance based. If you perform, you are rewarded. If you don't perform, no incentive is given. And it is WTO compliant scheme which treats equally whether the foreign player or the domestic player. And not taking much of time, we can just assess the amount of gain which the country is going to have. If we see the large scale electronics, where we have just completed outgo of 36,440 crore, but it will result to manufacturing of 10.6 lakh crore, and 60% of that would be exported. In telecom products, what we are projecting with an outlay of 12,000 crore, we would be manufacturing around 2.4 lakh crores, and around 70% of that would be exported. Same is the case with the RT hardware. So if we see the total amount of outgo which is going to be for PLI, it is around 26 to 27 billion dollars. But the additional manufacturing output which the country will get is around 520 billion dollars. So India is now supporting its industry. It is the industry which can help in creating more and more employment. It will make country grow from lower income group to higher and higher income group. It is heartening to see active participation of the industry brought here by the MADE. This will go a long way in helping to achieve the objective. With these words, I express my extreme sense of gratitude to you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Shri Ishtiyaq Ahmed, for your kind, noteworthy keynote address. Thank you so much for joining us and being a part of the session. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to our panel discussion. I would like to welcome Shri Vinod Sharma, Managing Director, Deki Electronics, our panel moderator. A very warm welcome to our esteemed panelists representing both the government and industry sector. We once again warmly welcome Shri Ishtiyaq Ahmed, Advisor from NITI Aayog, Shri R.K. Pathak, DDG IC from the Department of Telecommunications, Mr. Sanjeev Narayan, Chairman, SGS Technics, Mr. Govindraj Kolegal, VP Manufacturing, IFB, Mr. Sanjeev Keskar, former MD Arrow, Captain C.S. Krishnadas, CEO MRO Tech, and Mr. Gagan Bansal, President TDK India. With these words, I would like to now hand over to our session moderator, requesting him to kindly moderate this panel discussion.
Thanks very much, Sanati. A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to keep my video off because I've had a minor eye surgery and I'm just recovering from that. So I will save you the looks of a handsome, clean-shaven but pirate-looking person for the moment. Very warm welcome to the session. I have actually been following most of the sessions since the inaugural today. So let me begin by thanking and congratulating the MADE team. George, Nitin, Harish, I think you guys have done a Rishi. Fantastic job. Got an excellent galaxy of speakers, panelists throughout. I enjoyed the inaugural session very much. And then our colleague Josh, I think in the previous session did great justice by digging into, I would say, the resources of some of the fantastic panelists that we had both from overseas and India. So we have about an hour to talk about an extremely important topic now on components. And what I'm trying to do is, because this time of the evening, it's probably better that I provoke my colleagues, get you into a sort of a freewheeling discussion rather than a very formal, allow you to read out a prepared speech. If you know me by now, I won't allow you to do that. So let me begin by asking my good friend Sanjeev Narayanji, why do you need components in India? I mean, all these years you've managed to import. You're a successful EMS company. You are going great guns. My colleague Sunil Vachani is not here. I have a few things up my sleeve to pull his legs, but I'm missing him right now. So these companies are doing fairly well, right? I mean, so I understand the whole national strategic revenue generation deep dive. Ishtiyaq ji, aapne bahut sahi kaha. You need that fundamental of components. But let me, as a simple SME businessman, ask this question first. Why do we need these components?
I think, thank you, Vinod. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, you are audible. Clear. Absolutely.
I think this question really need not be asked, because the most important element in this, if we want a long-term, sustainable electronic industry, components is the most important element. And when I talk about components, I include everything other than ICs for the moment. Because, we seem to be getting confused when we talk about ICs and the rest of the components get left out. And without these components, I don't think there's going to be a viable industry, neither value add nor long-term sustainability. Also, if I would like to say here that, when we are looking at a bill of material of any electronic product, semiconductors or ICs would be only about 30 to 40% of the bill of material. The rest of the bill of material is resistors, capacitors, discrete semiconductors, then there are relays, there are switches, and of course the PCBs and valve components. Why are we ignoring this sector? And that is very important, that must get included. So without this component base, I don't think anyone can survive long term. So
you're saying while in the medium term, short term, we may have managed, but if we have any serious intentions of staying here for the long run, there is no choice but to have components. Let's get Ganesh from Matrix. You're doing fantastic EPA-based telecom systems, and you've been dependent on a lot of importing supply chains from abroad. Do you share Mr. Sanjeev Narayan's views?
Yes, because the manufacturing, just going about doing products assembly and testing is not a viable business model anywhere, and the backward kind of supply chain or the integration is a part of any manufacturing systems. So, and I think we are into this manufacturing, and the difficulties or the challenges we face in terms of day-to-day struggle of actually sourcing components, importing them, and then the delays associated with that. And the particularly if you design your own products, then you also have the challenges connected with sharing designs, and it requires closer collaboration. Now, if those suppliers are not here in the country, and you have to actually interact or collaborate with suppliers who are outside, it makes entire business much more complicated and very difficult. So,
Vinod, George here.
Yeah, George.
Okay. I just want to convey to all of you that we have with us Mr. R.K. Pathak.
Yes.
He is DDG IC DOT. He is he is the architect behind the PLI for the telecom products. Sir, in this confusion of video going off on, we just missed taking your name. Privileged to have you with us. Thank you for joining. And may I request everybody to switch on your videos? There is sufficient bandwidth. We just had difficulty at one particular point. Yeah, sure. Over
Thanks,
to you.
Pathakji, you're not somebody who can go without notice in this industry. So I had noticed it, and I was about to introduce you. Welcome very much to this panel discussion. And I will, in a short while, come to you asking why, from a telecom ministry perspective, do you think components need to be done here? But before I go there, I'm still trying to get, okay, so, Ganeshji, you very rightly mentioned, it brings in more efficiency, I think, from what I hear from your comments, to your own business. If you have components locally, it helps you to design locally much better, and obviously makes you more competitive. Those are some of the things I picked up from there. So let me complete that round and say, how does Mr. Govindraj Kollegal, you've been designing some fantastic IFB washing machines, producing them in India all this time. Do you sincerely believe that local components will help you in your journey?
Yeah, good evening all. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are clear.
Okay. Definitely electronics component manufacturing will help us in all aspects. Let me put it up as two immediate needs. One is the lead time. Now the lead time is continuously going on changing, and we find it difficult to meet our domestic customers as well as our export customers. That is point number one. Number two is because the demand is more than the supply, often we get to a situation where the prices go on increasing, and unfortunately we are forced to pass on this price increase to the customer, or as a company we absorb this. These are the two important immediate needs. That is, one is the delivery and the price. But my focus is on the bigger aspects. One is as we go along, all the products, the life cycle of the final product will go on coming down. So it will be very helpful if we have the electronics component manufacturing as well as the electronic assembly manufacturing in India, because it will help us to reduce the lead times, and when the life cycle of the final product is coming down, it will help us. But the most important thing, according to me, is how are we going to protect our technology? Now, if you look at today's situation, and if we have aims of about in the next 10-15 years, that India should make the products and sell to the rest of the world, then we need to protect our technology, whatever is there in the semiconductors, etc. I'll give you an example. In a washing machine, we do a lot of R&D on how to improve the efficiency of the washing machine. That is what we call as the rhythm of the washing cycles. But finally, what we need to do is these all these programs we will have to give it to the abroad electronic component manufacturer. Even though we give it in an X file and it is all scripted, but I don't know. I am not very sure whether it is totally protected. Our technology, whatever we have done. So, in my opinion, this is the bigger cause for which we have to work. Maybe for the next 10-15 years, we have to have a vision of supplying the final product to the globe. For that, we need the semiconductor manufacturing, like what Mr. Vinod was telling, both the ICs as well as the other components to be done in India. That's my opinion.
Thanks very much, Govindradji. Captain Krishnadas, Emaro is a large buyer of components. Do you share these sentiments, or do you have some other reasons for trying to buy local?
Thanks, Vinod. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are clear. Yes.
Yeah. Just to put it in perspective, I'll pick up from the first question that you raised as to why component manufacturing. Now, MRO Tech is primarily a small enterprise company, and for us, we primarily do EMS in terms of PCBA, and that is just one of the verticals out of the many verticals that we do. And we're quite excited last year when we heard about the PLI and the impetus that it is going to give to manufacturing as a whole. But when we look at the PLI policy itself, a company that is a 50 crore company like mine, with different verticals, of course, and EMS being about 4 years old, and we do about 20-22 crores of EMS business, I'm not able to participate in a PLI scheme, primarily because of the the incentive that the investment cap of 5 crores minimum in for other electronics. It depends on the different type of schemes, but that is the minimum kind of an investment I have to make. Because being a 4-year-old company, I look at myself as an emerging EMS, and when I'm participating in this, tough industry, as we all know, it becomes difficult for me to start making those kind of investments just to qualify for a PLI scheme. But if you look back, for the past 2 years, we have invested more than 8 crores into this business, and I'm doing the kind of revenues that the policy makers also expect. So just a small point is that, when we are trying to encourage the MSMEs, because I represent that sector, I look at myself as the bottom of the pyramid in terms of the manufacturing chain. It is very important to, probably look back also and look at how much this PLI can be amended to help the MSMEs also step in. because it starts from the top. It's a top-down approach by the policy makers, and eventually it is going to help in backward integration for us. The other point is how component manufacturing is going to help us in terms of, ramping up the business, in terms of ramping up where we should be, in terms of meeting operational costs. It's about first focusing on the PCBA environment. The PCBA environment needs to be strengthened. From PCBA, we can move on to PCB design, move on to multi-level, multi-layer PCBs, and then probably move on to fab. And I agree with Mr. Kollegal that we should be looking at IC manufacturing in India. And I would say not look at low tech, not 28 nanometers, maybe look at 8 nanometers like the Taiwan companies are doing, and look at I would say a PPP kind of model where the government can pitch into, set up a fab unit in our country. It would be very exciting for companies like me to see something like that happening, where we know that the ecosystem is going to be really ramped up, and the manufacturing ecosystem really good. Yeah.
Thanks, Krishna.
The other point I would like to make is because.
No, sorry, I'll come to the. Okay, finish it, please.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You can get back.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay. No, I also wanted to bring in, before we get Mr. Pathak and bring in the government thing, I wanted Mr. Sudhir Goyal, how does Acer look at this? I mean, you're quite happy. You've got your tentacles all over supply chains, all globally. Why bother with India?
My Acer being a Taiwanese company, and we've been present in India for the last 20 years. We've been manufacturing at the Pondicherry for that, and we firmly believe the time has come, and after a lot of initiatives have been taken by the government for us to start having the PC or the laptop or the server and some of the other components manufacturing in India. But at the same time, with the product life cycle being so short, starting from the design to the EMS to the brand players to the marketing, everything has to be stitched together, and therefore the ecosystem has to evolve, where a combination of the EMS and the brand players have to co-work together to ensure that we are able to optimize the cost, have a faster supply chain, and at the same time meet the customer demands. So a combination of, and that will not be possible unless we start doing the component manufacturing here, because it has to be a complete seamless supply chain which has to take place. So we are quite excited. I mean, for sure, it is not going to, reach the levels which we are expecting or which we desire within a very short time. But we feel that the necessary steps have been taken. We have seen the success in some of the sectors like the mobile phones, right? So we have reached some stage. Or have we reached the peak or what we desire? Of course not. But a lot of progress has been made, and I'm sure in the other sectors of the electronics, whether it's a IT, whether it's a consumer electronics or industrial electronics, we should see the success in the future. Or whether fab is the right way, well, it's difficult to say. I'm not an expert in that, but to the limited knowledge they have, the kind of investment which is required, the kind of the resources, infrastructure, power, water, etc., is a big thing. But a beginning has been made, and if we continue on this path, and the most important part is the continuity of the focus which the government has to put to ensure that whatever investment plan which most of the large organizations will make, they will go with the assumption that that there is a continuity of the policies which is there. We are quite excited. We are quite hopeful, and I'm sure we are moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sudhir. That's very nice. So, for what I've gathered so far, I would put the reasons for trying to get components local. I know it's a very obvious question. I've spent almost 20 minutes in trying to get the answer to a very obvious question, but for a very deliberate reason. So if I were to put the answers that I received from all of you, which were very insightful, I must say, I would put them in two buckets. One is what I would call the strategic bucket, as Mr. Sanjeev Narayan started by saying, if you want long-term, sustainable, global competitiveness, you cannot do it without having components locally. Our friend from IFB very rightly reminded us that if it's also a way of designing and holding on to your IP or technology through the component deployment in those areas. So for strategic and long-term sustainability perspective, that will be one area why. And the rest of you also answered absolutely, I would say, accurately, appropriately on the fact that if you take the tactical part of this whole business at the moment, whether it is the procurement costs around buying long lead time components, the foreign exchange, the the exposure that we get to that, the risk that we run in buying abroad in long-term leads, but also the inventory risks and the obsolescence risks that follow something like that. So there would be the strategic and the tactical reasons why we do that. Why I deliberately structured the whole discussion around that is because I like to bring in two gentlemen now. One is my friend Sanjeev Keskar, ex-Arrow, but he runs a fantastic consulting company now called Arvind. Sanjeev, congratulations on your Arvind Consulting, because a mind like you, yeah, I think we as a country need people like you to be guiding us in that area. So you've been very happy, running a fantastic professional career and getting components from all over the world and supplying and filling in some of these gaps. The other gentleman is my friend Gagan Bansal from TDK, a very large multinational component maker whose company believes in actually making in India, in spite of the challenges that he faces. And I'm sure if you ask Gagan, he's a hard-nosed marketing guy. He says, all these reasons are very good, but these guys are not willing to pay me 1 paisa more for a component that I build locally, though my costs are more. So I want Sanjeev, first you to go and then Gagan, and then I would like to come to Mr. Pathak to get a government view on this whole picture.
Thank you, Vinod. Good evening, everyone. You know, the biggest challenge what electronics industry has today in India is about the value addition. With PLI scheme, lot of manufacturing has definitely happening, but you know, everything is low value add. We are getting CKD, SKD kit and just doing the SMT assembly work, which gives us only 10 to 12% of value recognition. And that's not what we want. Components contribute almost 40% value of any electronic product. And today, more than 80% of components are getting imported in India. If we are talking about $400 billion industry in next 6, 7 or 10 years also, then component requirement is going to be more than $100 billion. And I'm very sorry, the spec scheme has been announced for component manufacturing, but how much money has been allocated? Just 3,285 crores. Whereas mobile phone manufacturing getting 41,000 crore, where the local value addition is 10%. So I think component manufacturing should be really given a very special focus and special attention, because it is going to help us to create a local high value added ecosystem. Now, again, I really support Mr. Sanjeev Narayan's view that every time when we talk about component, we start talking about wafer fab. And then buck stops there because no one is ready to invest $4 billion. But apart from IC and wafer fab, there is a PCB. You know, today $3 billion worth of PCBs are consumed in India. What is the domestic production? 350 million. And that 3 billion is going to go to 8 billion to 10 billion in next 5 to 6 years. We have another requirement of good passive components, transformers, relays, display, LED, LCD, which doesn't call for $4 billion investment. So we really have to do an analysis of total available market, global market for those components, what is the investment required, and how we can differentiate ourselves. You know, just if we focus a few categories, relay, let's talk about relay. Our smart meter requires $3 to $5 worth of relays in every smart meter, and government has a plan to make 200 million smart meters over the next 3 years. Means we only relay requirement is going to be close to $1 billion, and we are importing from China today. All smart meters require GSM modules, NB-IoT module. We are importing from China today. So at least these low-hanging fruits, we should really focus and make in India. That's what I think is the most critical need. And also component importing from Hong Kong or Singapore creates a disability, because you have to plan inventory, you have to take into consider transit time, you have to take into consideration freight and insurance. You know, China, Taiwan, they get just in time with local support. My all Indian customers, means in Arrow Electronics, I used to deal with 1,000 customers in India, and I was running a 2,000 crore operation for component sale. But all my customers used to hold at least 30 to 60 days of inventory. That there is a cost to that. So I think we have to address some fundamental issues. IC wafer fab is welcome, let it come. But there are low-hanging fruits which we should focus, which calls for low investment. There is a huge opportunity. And I think we should just go step by step to build a value addition. Manufacturing is great, but low value added manufacturing is not going to help us in long run. We have to focus on creating a high value added ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Couldn't agree with you more. Gagan, so why are you not putting up this $1 billion relay component business?
So good evening, everybody, and good evening, Vinodji. So, we have been in India for the last 50, 60 years already in with components manufacturing, and we would be willing to invest at every opportunity. And we are even doing with the present PLI schemes. So that's one. But you see, what we must understand is if you look back 1947 when we got independence, India did not really have anything of its own, and there was a policy from Nehruji that we must have the heavy industries and a lot of other things. Then the Green Revolution came in. But today, after 70, 75 years of independence, the world order is completely changed. We are not only talking agriculture, now we are talking of only either energy transformation or digital transformation. Now, when we are talking of these concepts, you always have to be at the forefront of technology rather than only low value addition. And when you talk of components, this is the last mile of technology. So if you want to make a mark in the world with your, let me say, technology prowess, you must have components. Otherwise, you will remain an EMS country with the help of these PLI schemes, which I'm not saying is not the right way. Since we were so far behind, I believe that was the only first logical step to take. But having taken the step, do we want to remain as an EMS company? Most likely no. If the manufacturing in the past shifted from Japan to Europe and then to Southeast Asia and now to some other countries, no sooner it would also shift to other countries which are even below us, for example, Africa. What would we do then? So if we want to be at the forefront of technology, if we want to drive something for the world, if we want to be a net exporter, if we want a sunrise industry to be a growth enabler, if we want to save our foreign exchange, we need components. There is no way without components. You can take any and every sector, and components are the heart of it. You leave components, we are only talking superficial. You do not go to the depth. And if you do not go to the depth, I mean, nobody will really give you the value. And you will always have countries like China or Vietnam or Thailand who will take away the piece of cake. So I'm not saying that we should jump onto the bandwagon of a semiconductor or a fab right in the beginning. There would be steps which would be needed. The PLI is definitely the right step, but it's time when we start looking further.
Thank you, Gagan. Yeah, I just add that this is a session that's also supported by Alcina along with MATE, and at Alcina we had a component task force that recently concluded a report a few months ago, and I think Sudhirji, you were absolutely right when you were quoting some figures, and Sanjeev, you too, on the gap that we have between the components that we need, the total available market, the total market in India, and it will be, I think. I would say it's an 80-20 thing. Most components, 20% is made in India and 80% we are still importing. And these are components that we have been making for 30, 40 years, whether it's a relay, a transformer, a passive capacitor, a film capacitor, tantalum, whatever. Now, why are we doing that? And so if we very quickly run through that, I just want to remind everybody that there is a big difference between dealing with components and, in fact, as this session has very rightly said, it's parts of parts. So I think components, if they are discussed alone, we are not doing service. There are raw material to these parts, which are extremely important. If you look at an MLCC, let me give you one simple example. I don't think there's a single MLCC capacitor being actually made in India at the moment. And there's probably not a single circuit in the world that doesn't use a single, that can do without an MLCC. Now, this is a capacitor that might cost you as little as 40, 50, 60 paise sometimes. But to build this, and I'm working on a project myself at the moment, you cannot begin to be a viable MLCC manufacturer till you have not invested $100 million. Because your next competitor is either a Yageo or a Vishay or a Samsung who has already invested between $1 and $2 billion in that business. So while you can start even at $10 million, nothing stops you from doing that. If you want to become viable, and that is what I think what Gagan is saying, I can give you MLCC capacitors in India, you may have to pay a little more. Now, who's willing to pay that little more? So typically the government has looked at this, and of course, the other features we know about components, it's a capital intensive business. For me to do 100 crores of film capacitors that my company does, I have 100 crores of capital equipment put in the machine, in the plant at Noida. And if you do this kind of a thing, obviously you cannot work with returns which are less than 10% because the cost of money in this country is so high. The skills that we need to run these plants are very different from assembly skills. And these are people, so I cannot think of relocating a plant, for example, because I have 700 people at my plant in Noida. If I want to build another 700 people plant elsewhere, it's going to take me at least 5 years to be able to build those skill sets. So that's not easy. And then technology is not easy to get, because there is competition. So obviously you need somebody who has total focus, dedication, commitment to this business for a long, long time. Now, the way that the government has helped us is in two ways. Either you put a disincentive on the import of any component or part that you want to be made in India. You can do it through standards, non-tariff, or you can do it through tariffs. As an industry, we believe we are largely a zero duty global industry, and any tariff actually hurts us eventually as an industry. So we would not like to go that way as far as possible. The second option is the fantastic option of PLI, the incentive being given to set up a business. Now we can argue, sir, and Mr. Pathak, before I bring in, again, I will provoke you with a statement. The MSIPS was a very good scheme. Having said that, many of the people on this panel are also recipients, including myself. However, that money came at a time where we will be well advised not to depend on government funds for the viability of that project. Now, that is a very strong statement I'm making. What I'm saying is, even today when I filed, I'm also, for example, a SPECS applicant, a PLI applicant. Again, I'm very strongly advised by my board and my bank, saying that if you are going to depend on that money to make this work, please don't do that. Now, which, in my opinion, is something, the ball is in the government's court. You've done a fantastic job of rolling out such an ambitious scheme across. The whole world is watching us today. So I'd like now to bring you in, Mr. Pathak, saying, what are your thoughts around PLI? How are you positioning it in a way that genuinely company begins to use this as funding, viability gap funding in some cases, and that little risk that I talked about, the high capital intensity of components, we are able to bridge that to some extent. Over to you, sir. You're on mute, sir. Pathakji. Still can't hear you, sir. Not yet. I'm not able to hear you. No, Mr. Pathak. Just try it again. No, I can't hear you. Can someone from the backend team help Mr. Pathak?
Puneet, would you be able to help Mr. Pathak?
Okay.
I think he's just.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Now you can? Okay. I seem to have lost everybody in the middle.
No, you're audible, Vinod.
I'm audible? Okay, sorry. Yeah, no, I can't
Yeah,
hear anybody
yeah,
else.
yeah.
Now I can, yes, okay. Right. So do we have Mr. Pathak back?
We don't have him back as yet.
We don't have him back. Okay. Okay. why don't we, in the meanwhile, then continue the conversation? So, Sanjeev, this is for Sanjeev Keskar. What do you think? So, you rightly pointed out that some of the components that can be built have not been aimed at fully as yet. Would you, would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so like the display, LED, LCD display, or power transistor MOSFET, we should really try to capture the devices where there is a less investment. If you just look at the power transistors and MOSFET with silicon carbide next generation technology, it doesn't call for a very large investment like 28 nanometer or a 20 nanometer wafer fab. And there is a huge demand for this new technology. Every two-wheeler, every power supply, every UPS inverter in India require these power devices. Or even if you look at the passives, like you rightly said, MLCC capacitors and tantalum capacitors and all type of electrolytic capacitor. There is a huge requirement globally and India, and there is a shortage of these components. Means companies like Yageo and Samsung, and they have taken huge advantage during the high demand situation. So we should really focus on what are the investment required and what is the total available global market for that component, and take a selective decision about our priorities.
Right. Okay. So well, what's your experience with being a large company, a multinational company? What role can your companies like yours play in bringing in some of these supply chains to India? Can you persuade them? Can you encourage them to be here? You're on mute, Mr. Gu.
Sorry, can you hear? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, we have a big role to play. I mean, as a brand owner, for ensuring that the local ecosystem supply chain gets streamlined and we are able to utilize the skill sets, the investment, the infrastructure with the local players, whether from the EMS or the PCB or to component manufacturing. All of these should be utilized. So that's definitely a task which we have to do, either by providing the mentorship, by cooperating with them, by providing whatever inputs, either in terms of processes, in terms of the quality control, or whatever additional is required. I mean, we have been working with some of the players already in the who are in the system, and I think PLI scheme to that extent gives us the motivation. Whether it is sufficient, it's difficult to say, but it definitely gives us the motivation to start engaging with many more players, the local EMS players to start with, and try to engage with them, try to promote them, try to mentor them to make sure that they produce the products for us as a brand.
Mr. Pathak, yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Goyal. Pathak ji, yeah, I see you on the screen, so hopefully it will work now.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible. Yes.
So, good evening to all of you. I think I have very distinguished panel, and I think I have heard all the discussion. So, this sustainability, value addition, whether it's the IC or components and pieces and parts. So, in fact, I am an old DGTD person. So, I think maybe the very few persons who are active in technical development did this exercise before 94. And let me share the experience of Indian telephone industry. That was the first company where when E10B was imported from CIT Alcatel. So it was the relay shop, it was the connector shop, and all the components were being manufactured in the country itself. That was in the Mankapur. So we have that experience that how to promote domestic manufacturing, domestic companies, ancillary development. And at that time, government was doing very much, thrust was on indigenization. But when we started liberalization, somewhere we missed this bus, especially in telecommunication, especially in electronics and communication parts. We were unable to match it. The pace of development one can see. So I think we have to even prioritize the components or piece parts we want to manufacture. I fully agree that most of the PLI schemes of the government are promoting EMS company. So there can be two priorities. One, that component and piece parts persons should form a group and come up with the government for some special incentive for some specified products, not for all. This PLI scheme is not meant for giving the incentive to all the manufacturers, but it is meant for making global, local as well as global. So you just first manufacture in the country and go in a scale, global scale. So it's just selective, maybe some 5 or 10 or 20. In fact, you will, if you know that this telecom PLI is different than all the existing PLI. We have specified certain thresholds, but there is no upper limit. So you can go at any upper investment limit. And investment is driving your incentive. So if your investment, eligible investment is more, you will be able to scale up to a higher level. So purpose is to make certain few even Indian champions also the global. That will be, you'll see once we come up with the guidelines also, that it's not meant for only foreign players, but Indian players also, to make them global. But again, I repeat that we have to work with EMS companies for our own success, and I think I have just heard that sustainability is important, value addition is important, but neither value addition we can't, keep in our PLI scheme with that is not WTO compliant, because even MEIS scheme was turned down at WTO only. So we have to work with the existing companies, and in such a way that just focus on certain products, certain piece parts which you manufacture. One of the I think, which I feel, because I have been also in this field in promoting domestic manufacturing, that if a EMS vendor, which right now focusing only on that he will just set up a SMT plant and manufacture assemble, that should not be the idea. And that's why in telecom PLI we have made it 20%, 40%, 70%, 100%, such that he has to invest each year on backward integration. Once I am saying backward integration, it means not additional assembly line, but on certain important components, piece parts which he can set up. And once he is setting up within his premises, maybe with through legal, whatever is covered under the PLI guidelines, he will be eligible for those investment to be counted. As I told that in case of telecommunication, there is no upper limit. It's the threshold, like, and we have specifically mentioned MSME also. So we want to promote MSME sector also. For MSME sector, in the first 3 years, there is 1% more incentive. That is not available in any other PLI. So we have taken care of, at least in the designing PLI scheme for telecommunication, and PLI scheme for telecommunication is a very large bouquet. You will see that while you can manufacture transmission product, you can manufacture even the core equipment also, and even IoT devices also, router also. So we have given entire, there is no limit that you have to manufacture only this component. You can indicate a bouquet, complete bouquet, and indicate your product at the very beginning itself. And as you, even you develop certain products, like you have written 5G, so even if you are manufacturing 6G, 6G will be eligible in subsequent 4 years, 5 years. So if whatever you are manufacturing, even future products is covered in, at least in telecom PLI. So I think this is the only, otherwise I think whatever was being discussed, I fully agree, but perhaps you have to fight with the government, unite first, and then only you can do anything. Thank you. Mr. Sanjeev, I think he is laughing because I think he has some experience of the government.
Yes, he's a ITI Mankapur supplier, I'm sure.
Yes, we were a large supplier to Mankapur.
That's right, yeah.
And I feel bad that, a lot of these units, which were so good, have gone down the pot. And it's very unfortunate because That is a time where we had leadership roles.
But we are very happy. In fact, I hear from my telecom colleagues in the industry that, Pathakji, that the experience that you are using, this DGTD that you mentioned, the whole CDOT, the whole experience around ITI is developing local manufacturing is really being used in your current role in shaping a PLI. As you very rightly said, we are very happy that the SMEs are getting an added percentage point of incentive, which they very much need. Because one of the criticisms we hear about PLI is that we are somehow inviting the larger players more than the small players. I don't fully agree with that, but that's something that we have to be very cautious about. So, and I also liked your idea. You're absolutely right. We cannot do everything. Even in the previous session, this phrase about Rome not being built in a day was being used very often. The truth is that we will have to prioritize. We will have to select some components. And may I remind the audience that when we talk of parts and components, this is a very large field. While we're discussing only electronics right now, let's not forget that, for example, the mobile phones now, Tata has put in almost $1 billion of investment. We welcome such large companies coming into our industry of a great mechanicals. You know, the amount of just pure alloys, metals, connectors, the SIM card carriers, etc., that are required itself is a large play, and we are very happy that they're coming into it. We hope the same is happening with plastic parts, sheet metals, all sorts of alloys, besides, of course, the electronic components that we are discussing. So, Pathakji, actually, I have one question. However, my telecom colleagues have reminded me that within telecom, a large part is R&D. So the large part of investment is not necessarily machinery or capital goods, but it's also just people that they've had for a long time who are invested in developing a design or a technology. Is there any way that this technology development can also be recognized as part of the PLI investment? Is there any thought around that?
So I think it's already recognized. This plant and machinery R&D technology transfer, that is investment. Okay. Whatever is capitalized in the books of accounts, but that will be, I think you have to wait the guidelines, because guidelines will deal this in a detail. Why I am saying so? Because I think this PLI scheme is solely for the manufacturing, not for the R&D. Because if you just touch the R&D part, then I think more than 60%, one can say the IPR cost in case of especially telecom products. So we have to have one more scheme for, I think that is the reason we are, though the design house for the world, but we don't utilize the same design for our own benefit. There is a lot of scope for even fabulous design companies also from the India. So I think we should have a special scheme, very some 10 billion out, I think I will support, because till we invest in our own IPR, so that is a strategic interest. So that I think we have to take up separately, but definitely R&D is part of PLI schemes as well. So investment is there, but I think for that you have to, at least in telecom, you have to wait for the guidelines, which will be issued very shortly.
Sure. No, we look forward to that. That's a very positive note. What I would do now is, we discussed that components need to be promoted, of course, and they wouldn't happen on their own. We discussed why. We also discussed the two forms in which the government can support us: tariff, non-tariff barriers, and incentives like PLI. Is there anything else that we can do, either as the industry? Are there any other suggestions on how components can be built? And I will just leave one sort of trigger thought. For example, as a component maker myself, and I'm sure Gagan would agree with me there, and Sanjeev would agree, if we are assured of a certain buying, I know business doesn't work like that. But if I'm going to put in, like the same, coming back to the MLCC example, if some of the cell phone manufacturers come together and say, okay, we assure you that at least this percentage or at this EBITDA rate, we will buy this many components, that would make life very easy. And quite frankly, this is exactly what Japan did 30 years ago, Korea did 20 years ago, China's been doing for the last 20 years. So without a customer support of some kind, now that might be an equity into that consortium. And Sanjeev Narayanji, you will remember our discussions around that. So I'd like to go around the table. Are there any out-of-the-box ideas that we can take up, either within our industry or with the government on this? So
can I add on this?
Go ahead, Mr. Narayan. You could start, and then we'll go around the table.
Yeah. See, basically what I feel is that, the kind of vibrant industry that we have in the country, which is both in the MSME sector as well as some of the large component manufacturers, we have to leverage their strength. And this strength, along with the large OEMs that we have here, because I feel that unless the OEMs play a critical role to get in the manufacturers into India, it's not going to work. So we have one hand, we have the large OEMs, we have the global EMS companies who can play a very critical role in bringing in players here. And although I feel that we have, as an industry, learned to collaborate. Unfortunately, within India, when you start looking at most of the people that we know very well, we have not been very successful when it comes to collaborating within ourselves. And I feel that, if we want to get scale and size, can we get, say, just as an example, can we get the PCB manufacturers to collaborate so that they can bring in a laminate plant? See, again, the same example that Vinod was talking, can we assure a laminate manufacturer that, okay, 30% of your production will be taken by our companies here? Similarly, can we have people, say, in the area of capacitors or relays who are going to be upgrading? They may not be able to put investments on just on their own. Can we have 3 manufacturers come together and say, okay, we are going to be making the miniaturized relay or the SMD component in this area? Once something like this starts happening, I think there will be a lot of take on getting investments into this country. This is what I feel we should be doing.
Yeah, some very, very good ideas there, Sanjeevji. How about you, Jivani Sab? Would you have some thoughts on this? You're on mute, sir.
Sorry, yeah. My first time, Ganesh. Thank you. Yes. So to me, looks like see, in the automobile industry, because the components are very heavy, and the business model there is OEM people actually bring their ancillaries, because OEMs actually also design components. So there in India, if you see, automobile component industry is quite well established, and but in electronics, I think because the components are very small and very easy to import, and the freight cost and the logistic cost is not very high. And on the other side, electronics components are very technologically heavy. In fact, we are into product manufacturing, but if you ask me honestly, uh, designing systems is easier than designing components, particularly in electronics, because component designing and manufacturing requires really very high level of technology and material science and equipment, infrastructures, everything. Uh, on the other side, if you see mobile manufacturing, somebody talked about, actually, it is very easy to set up a mobile manufacturing assembly shop in maybe 1-2 months or 3 months. But if you want to do so, I think the way to go about this is, unless the OEM people are not forced to actually source locally, it is unlikely, because we are also a equipment manufacturer, and if we are given easy access to importing components, which does not cost us, and the Chinese and Taiwanese and other companies can outprice Indian component manufacturers. Honestly, I'm at a loss to see how this ecosystem will develop. Only by PLI. I think Mr. Sanjeev Keskar talked about the PCB. I'm sorry to say, but we are importing all our PCBs from China and Taiwan, and uh, I think there is not going to be only motivation, encouragement is going to actually create, because this is a hard work, very tough work, and any tough industry requires little kind of the pressure or some kind of other tactics. I would not. Sorry, I'm not very optimistic here. But component manufacturing in India is not going to be as easy as actually making products, assembly, and all that. And one of the root cause, I think, is the government or the people. We look at, we always get attracted to the large names, the final products, like semiconductor, Intel, and or the products, the OEM names. But we don't have that mindset to go into deeper and see really where is the real work happening. as a country, I think we missed this, building it ground up. And we want to somehow actually, show it that, okay, we have all these products and everything and all that, without creating this technology or the capability or the foundation. And I think India, honestly, if you ask me, will be really tested if we get these components in place. Of course, we all will be happy. But I have my, I'll keep my fingers crossed.
No, I appreciate your candor, Ganeshji. You are absolutely right. It is a tough field. Some of us have managed to survive, but I'm definitely far more optimistic and hopeful than that. You also mentioned a very good example of the auto industry. In fact, in my personal opinion, it is the only industry where we have actually not only established a supply chain, but we've leveraged that. So our auto friends today who started with Maruti, today 50% of most of our vehicles are exported today. And in my opinion, this is just the beginning. I think there will be a day we will be exporting much larger numbers, especially in the mid-sized vehicle, the small car and mid-sized vehicle segment. And all that has happened because these ancillary units, as you mentioned, have today become a source of competitiveness for the larger players. And we do hope that some of that will get achieved, as we go along. Govindraj, how would you feel about it? I know, I'm still a supplier of components, so I can't use the word force you to buy locally. But I like the idea, I must admit. So Govindraj, over to you.
Yeah, I totally agree with the panelists that PCBA assembly needs to be done by all the brands in India. We at IFB, we took this decision maybe about 5-7 years back. And I'm happy to say that maybe 80 to 90% of the PCB assemblies is being done in India. But we are not totally happy with this. Why? Because still the PCB assembly manufacturer needs to depend upon the getting the components from outside India. So the whole ecosystem will work only if we are able to get this part also. Whenever we start doing the electronic components, PCB assembly in India will automatically happen. Right now, it is not happening because the what you call the raw material for that, the basic components, is not available. So their value addition, what they are doing, is very little, less than 10% or maybe less than 15%, which does not bring in viability for their investments.
Sure. Yeah.
This is my take.
Yeah. Thanks very much for that. Let me get in two of our large players here, Sudhir Goyalji from Acer, and I also see my friend Tabriz from Dell is on the call. So the two of you, how do you feel about this? What are some of the new ideas? How can we persuade you, force you, whatever the word is?
No, it's not a question of persuasion or force. I think, as you said, that it's a journey which you have to take from a complete finished good import to start manufacturing. And it cannot be that from the day one itself, you say, okay, and 100% component assembly. So it has to start. So as you said, I think the PLI scheme, hopefully at least the EMS players, that process will start. There is at least in the PLI, they have given a window of about 3 to 4 years for reaching a value addition norm of about 50% or 60%. I'm sure, the people who are going to apply or who are interested in that will be doing. We are on that path, and I think we are quite excited. But being a Taiwanese company, and we know that Taiwan has been a hub for the electronics manufacturing, and I take what Sanjeev said in the beginning. The reason for the success, and dive into the system and for the supply chain for about 25 years, looking at how Taiwanese and Chinese operate. The key word which you use is a collaborative, which is what is essential. Collaboration from the brand to the OEM to the component manufacturer. If with the product life cycle becoming shorter, the economies of the scale is important, and that's only possible if, let's say, 2 or 3 brands talk. When there's a component manufacturing which has to be done, that capacity, that infrastructure, that investment has to be used by few brands. A single brand will never be able to consume, and because the investment has to be, the ROI has to be much higher, and that implies that there has to be many more customers who should be willing to take that. So collaborative approach is the only way which we have seen that how the Taiwanese, who the principle that they are now into ODMs of the component or in the finished good, they have succeeded, at least in the IT space. Today, about 80% plus, the ODMs are actually the Taiwanese companies, and that's where it is. Irrespective of what brand, and I have been a part of the ODM ecosystem, we have seen almost all brands of the PCs getting manufactured there. So collaboration is definitely the way. I give another example of China ecosystem, and I mean, there, each and every step, even if you are a competitor to each other, I mean, you utilize the infrastructure because you know that's the only optimum way of cutting down the cost as well as the time for production or a product design. So I think this is something which is missing in India. I mean, but as I said, I am very optimistic. I think in the last 1.5 to 2 years, a lot of policy changes which have been made is in the right direction. Whether we are happy saying this is the end, I feel this is the beginning of the story. And as we move forward, and if there is a continuity of similar intent, I am sure we would succeed. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, Tabrez or Rishi from Dell, one of you, or both of you. Okay, in which case, let me then go to my component friends while they're getting back. Sanjeev Keskar and Gagan after that.
Yeah. So, Vinod, we have seen there was a policy called PMA, Preferential Market Access, for telecom tenders, but which was asking for 30% local value addition, and that really pushes manufacturers to have source some components locally. But frankly, we haven't seen much success of PMA policy. So, like Mr. Jiwani has said, that to force OEMs to buy component, it's not really going to be an easy task. Okay, and then the best way, if you ask me, is we should strengthen our specs program. Currently, we are allocating only 3,200 crores. I think the component industry globally, last year, $450 billion worth of semiconductor produced globally. And now, as per International Semiconductor Association report, that by 2030, it is going to be $750 billion. And if that is just semiconductor, if we add electromechanical passives and connectors, then we are talking about $1 trillion component industry by 2030, which is huge on any scale. So we should think strategically. We should invest in supporting component manufacturing in India by really incentivizing and strategically focusing on some low-hanging fruits, the next generation technology. We should not come up with a Me Too product. We should come up with some differentiator. As I mentioned, in MOSFET and power transistor, we should think of silicon carbide as a technology or gallium nitride as a technology. We should really look for some high time product which have a moderate investment. That's my feedback.
Yeah, thanks very much, Sanjeev. I'd like to actually invite everybody's attention to a report that is now being circulated. I think Patanji, maybe even the ministry has it. I know we had a discussion with MeitY around it. It's a report by the Chinese MIIT, the Ministry of IIT there, talking about development of basic level components. And I was very amazed to see that they use that term basic level components, which were basically defined as what we are talking this evening. PCBs, passives, electromechanicals going up to relays and connectors. That's it. What is fascinating about this report, it's a 3-year report starting in 21 to 24, 23, 21, 22, 23, 3 years. They have an ambition to create an industry of $250 billion of these basic level components. One of the paragraphs which startled me is that they have actually targeting 15 local champions, each of which will be the size of $1.5 billion each in these basic passive components, basic components. And then, of course, it's a nice 40-50 page report. I would recommend that we read it because it gives you a sense of when you say prepare ourselves strategically, obviously, we all know in business strategy also means we understand what the other people are doing around us. And if China is to be treated as a competitor, neighbor, friendly supplier, whatever you want to call him, there is no ignoring that very large this thing. So before I come back to Mr. Pathak for some concluding remarks, Gagan, your turn to give us some insights.
Yes. So, Vinodji, as I look at it, to establish a component base in India or to start doing so, you need a very, very strong business case. As you mentioned, the investments are to the tune of $100 million or $200 million to start with. Otherwise, you're not at all competitive because these are large scale investments and you cannot do without huge volumes of global scale. So you need a very strong business case. And simply having sourcing agreements with some partners will not help. And why I say this is, very fantastic example of mobile phones itself. While the mobile phones are being assembled in India, hardly any component is being procured in India, even to the extent of, local buying. Everything is being imported by the consolidator, which is located at the ODM level. So, for example, all these companies, Xiaomi, Oppo, Vivo, I mean, to a large extent, they have an ODM, and these ODMs control the component base, and they are the ones who consolidate everything and then supply. So if we want to somehow build up a case, we have to start with basically the design, and we have to get involved. And that is where the collaborations, what Mr. Keskar and you also mentioned, will come in. We can go to the collaborations at the design stage. The second point is, whom can you collaborate with? Either you can go to the international players, whoever are doing these large scale, let me say, manufacturing, or you need an Indian manufacturer. Unfortunately, in India, we have a lot of software companies, but we do not have any Tata, Birla, or Ambani's, at least in the electronic space. We do not have a somebody who is manufacturing large electronic equipment. We don't have an Indian television manufacturer, Indian laptop manufacturer, Indian mobile phone manufacturer. This is simply missing. Now, what do? Either we collaborate with an international source, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 brands, and then we get ahead with it. Or second, the next way could be that we pick and choose certain areas, which are not low-hanging fruits. I'm being very particular about it. It should not be a me-too concept. So if we pick up only low-hanging fruits, people will not be interested. We should look at something which is 5 years ahead of technology or 3 years ahead of technology. And as per the China model, or what they have said in this report, the government should pick up some key segments and start building up capability, maybe to the extent of going to the universities and getting specific education programs. It will not be a 1 year or a 2 year shortcut program or a crash course where we will generate results. Maybe it's a 5 year, 7 year program, but we should have that long term vision. There could be multiple products. Today what we do in India, Vinodji, as you know, is certain film based products, certain ferrite based products, and that's it. What about ceramics? What about electrolytics? What about magnets? What about piezo devices? What about applied films? What about sensors? We do not have it. Even certain processes, for example, we all understand film technology in India, but what about multi-layer technology? What about sintering technology, laser cut winding technology, microwave technology, SAW technology, RF technology? So we have to start building up capabilities from the very scratch in these areas so that we can have a certain value add coming out of India, which we can go to a collaborator. Look, these are the 2 or 3 future oriented components which we can provide from the expertise that we have, and these will meet your demand. Now, if you give us a business case, we are ready to ramp up in 6 months to 1 year. I believe that is the way to go, and the government will have to make a strategy on this and partner with universities, partner with industries. We can choose some future-oriented applications, maybe 5G, 6G, not definitely the rudimentary things. We started with televisions, energy meter, LED lighting. That's it. We've not gone further. We need to look much, much, much beyond. And that's the only
Thanks
way
very
to.
much. Now, very, very, very good inputs, Gagan, as always. Yeah. Pathakji, over to you.
Sorry, you called my name earlier. So I'll take a minute. Yeah, sorry.
Sure,
sorry.
do that.
You called my name, so I thought I'll wait for this to.
Yeah, please.
Say. Look, I think first of all, great discussion, and I agree with the points being put up by the panelists. So I would say the PLI for the I'll speak only for let's say the say ICT industry right now, and maybe the laptops right now. So the PLI is probably the one of the first step that the government has taken. And I know some of the brands are working very closely with the government to see how do they leverage this and participate in the PLI scheme the way the mobile manufacturers did. But as was mentioned earlier, even in mobile, we are not really seeing the component manufacturing happening in the country. So I would believe, and this is the discussion we had multiple times with the government and also within the industry, that it's going to be progressive. It's not going to happen one shot. So we should, make sure that in a progressive manner it happens. If we force it any other way, you may end up being totally uncompetitive on one end, or you may have to change the full dynamics and may become a little bit, difficult for the entire ecosystem to work. But I do believe that if we do it in a progressive manner, and within that, as it was being said just before I spoke, if we can find some, and use our, research and development capabilities there, if we can find some niche for ourselves, and those are the areas we work, rather than just competing with, let's say, another hub elsewhere in the world. So these are the only two ways. But I would say it's a good start. What's happening right now, it's a good start. There is also value addition objectives that are part of the PLI itself, and that would actually encourage and even force some of the manufacturers to do more and more local value addition. But now, whether at what level it happens, whether it just happens at part level or parts of the part level, that is yet to be seen.
Yeah. No, sure. Thanks for the comments. In fact, there is no taking away from the fact that the PLI has been a great start, even for components. At least my information is that government is looking for about 30 component makers in this PLI round 2 for components, and they've got those 30. And as DGFT, Mr. Yadav was mentioning on the other panel discussion, I believe a few hours, it was this afternoon that those approvals were sort of given. And I can tell you that some component makers, and I can talk about myself, our own company, we have applied, and we are hopeful of adding the amount of investment that we've done in our company in the last 30 years is what we are repeating in the next 3 years. The amount of turnover that we've reached in 30 years, we are repeating it, we are just doubling it in 3 years. So it is definitely a trigger, but I completely agree with you that when you look at the whole amount and the quantity of components that are required, the types that are required, this is really a drop in the ocean. And I just hope that many such rounds will come up. Mr. Pathak, I'd like you to give your concluding thing, and I know that then my role as a moderator is also to stop this on time. So go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Binod. I think Mr. Gagan has rightly concluded, because I think we have so many speakers like Mr. Sudhir himself, as well as Mr. Ganesh. So one is completely Indian, and another is from Taiwan. So both have given their views why they are doing so. So when I discuss this part in detail from OEMs, especially foreign OEMs, they were saying that even that component is being controlled by, there is another layer that is called concentrator. So they have concentrator somewhere sitting in Hong Kong, and they decide that from here they have to buy the components. So I think we have to even work with the design companies. We have to work with those concentrator also, so that you aggregate the demand, then only. And I fully agree that we will not create 100 companies, because they will be the ancillaries naturally. We have to just concentrate on 10 to 15, 20, which is, I think, mentioned you are just in your report. Let them be the at least 1.5 billion to 2 billion, 10 billion company. Then only, because around that there will be a lot of industries, they will be developed. So automatically they have to support those. I mean, once we are saying that you develop a 1.5 billion industry, some company, then around that there has to be some ancillaries who will be supporting them. So same way, like even PLI scheme also. So I fully endorse the view that we have to become very competitive, and for success of PLI, just in time sustainability, entire ecosystem has to be present in India. Otherwise, I think even you won't be able to manage the inventory part also. So inventory is also very much important. So I think we have to develop the complete ecosystem, though it may take some time, and that's why we have given 4 years for the investment, and such that after 5th year you just don't fly by night. I mean, after just you finish your this one, that no, I don't want assembly, let's go to some other new destination. So I think we have to invest in this country and be global. Never think of, I think, low hanging fruits, because that will give just I mean, your business is in a small this one, but I think in long run we won't be able to sustain it. We have the lessons of I think 90, 91, 94. So we should not repeat that. So we have to invest on R&D and be global. This is, I think, concluding remark from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yeah, I'd like to just end by saying for me, it's been a fascinating discussion. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did conducting it. George, thank you for this opportunity. Harish, I know you're hiding somewhere and watching over all of us, so I hope you're happy with the way this went. And Sanati, over to you, bang on time. Thank you very much, my panelists, for making this a a very interesting discussion. And I do hope that, and I can claim that some of what we discussed, I'm sure George will meticulously report this, but there are some fascinating ideas that have come out of this discussion. I'm really happy about it. A very good evening to all of you.
Thank you, session moderator. With this, we conclude the panel discussion. It was indeed insightful with the speakers sharing both the government and the industry perspective. But of course, before we wrap up and call it a day, we have the formal vote of thanks, for which I would like to invite Mr. Sudhir Goyal, Chief Business Officer from Acer India, requesting him to kindly propose a vote of thanks.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's my proud privilege and honor to propose a vote of thanks to the distinguished audience of the session. You would agree that we had an informative session on the subject and many ideas cropped up to make India a global hub for electronic components. I'm particularly thankful to Mr. Ishtiaq Ahmed, Advisor Niti Aayog, for being the distinguished speaker at the session. Sir, your address has highlighted the opportunities that existed in the component sector in India and spelled out the various steps which are being taken by the government to make India a hub for the component manufacturing, including the recently announced production link incentive schemes and the PMP. We also had the opportunity to listen to Mr. R.K. Pathak, Deputy Director General, Department of Telecommunication, who shared his experience on evaluation of manufacturing right from the 1990s in telecom sector. He dwelt in detail about the component manufacturing opportunities, especially in telecommunication sector, both for MSME as well as global manufacturers. There is a lot that the government industry can do in this segment as part of Make in India to develop component manufacturing capabilities and capacities to make India a self-reliant in this sector. My thanks to the chairman and panelists of the session who have deep insights and trailblazing track records in the sector. They have touched upon a number of areas and put forth a lot of suggestions how the component sector can be evolved with and combined with the global supply chain. My thanks are due to each and every one of them, and MATE will have continued support from them in our effort to make India a strong global hub for components and electronics hardware. Before I conclude, let me give you assurance on behalf of the MATE. Our commitment to develop the electronics, hardware, and component segment and to make it a global hub is firm and uncompromising. We will partner with the government, global leaders, and other stakeholders in achieving that goal. With these words, I once again express my gratitude to all of you for making it convenient to attend this session this late in the evening. Soon we'll share our major takeaways and report of the summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goyal. With that, we call it today. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us tomorrow at 3 p.m. for the rest of the sessions. Have a great evening. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Thank you.